Marriage and family therapy, play therapy, the Terry Kottman text, partners in play. Before we look at chapter 7, I want to go over the appendices in the back of the book. Appendix A is an annotated bibliography of Adlerian play therapy. Lots of resources beginning on page 299, going to page 301. Appendix B, research and anecdotal support for the efficacy of play therapy with specific populations. Play therapy as the treatment of choice for abuse, neglect, adjustment disorder, adoption, and foster care, anxiety, withdrawn behavior, chronic terminal illness, depressive episodes, dissociative disorder, parents who are divorcing, grief issues, hospitalization, severe trauma, natural disasters, attachment disorder, selective mutism, which we've had a lot of success with here, attention deficit, autism or the spectrum, enuresis and encopresis, learning disabilities, major depressive disorder, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, and separation anxiety disorder. That goes through page 318, from 303 to 318. Appendix C, selected references on play therapy. Cognitive behavioral play therapy starting at 319, ecosystemic play therapy, existential experiential play therapy, Gestalt play therapy, Jungian play therapy, non-directive person-centered play therapy, psychodynamic play therapy, theraplay, various theories and approaches, ending on page 324. Appendix D, children's lifestyles. These are questions for parents from page 325, and questions about school. How does the client stand out in the family? What are your hopes and dreams? Describe your family of origin. Are there any traumatic events? How does your current family look like, resemble the family you grew up in? What's your philosophy on discipline, the relationship you have with your parents? Social questions, sibling ratings, and feelings questions. What are you most afraid of, angry about, sad about, or what hurts you, going from 319 to 330. Appendix E, the resources for teaching parents and teachers Adlerian principles and skills, 331 to 332. Appendix F, children's lifestyle questions for teachers in their classroom, on 333 to 336. Lifestyle questions for the child around the family atmosphere and constellation questions. What kind of person is your mom, your dad, you? Describe every person in your family. What happens when you get in trouble? Do you have a favorite adult? What do you disagree about? What do you guys do for fun? General questions. If you had 3 wishes, what are you good at? What would you like to be better at? Going to page 341. Appendix H, kinetic drawing Adlerian questions. If the child does a kinetic drawing, it has to be a picture of everyone in the family doing something and not stick people. Who is this person? What are their relationships? Can you tell me a little bit about them? What's happening? What was happening just before? Kinetic school drawing on page 345 in the classroom. Page 349, Appendix I, Adlerian play therapy lifestyle conceptualization. How do we function at life tasks? At school, with friendship, love, family, self, with spirituality, existential. What are our play themes? Family constellation, family atmosphere, early recollections, goals and misbehavior. How do we scale out with the crucial C's of connection, capability, counting, courage? What personality profile? What's our private lifestyle? What is our early, what are our lifestyle convictions? I must be. Others must be. The world is and must be. Life is. What are our assets? Again, work, friendship, love, intimacy, self, spirituality, roles as parents, going on to the roles as teachers. Page 357, Appendix J, the Adlerian play therapy treatment plan, assets you want to encourage, functioning life tasks that need to be adjusted or rebalanced, optimizing positive qualities, reducing negative aspects of personality, priorities, crucial C's that need adjusting, goals of misbehavior that need adjusting, mistaken beliefs and faulty convictions that need readjusting, self-defeating, useless behaviors to change, skills to learn, personality priorities and crucial C's, assets, all of these things, and then a reference set. So that gives you an idea of the appendices that are available to you in this text. Looking at chapter 7, Setting limits, an essential component in establishing the relationship in play therapy according to Bixler, Kottman, Landreth, Moustakis. What to limit? There's a limit in the time. There's a limit that the toys stay in the playroom. The child is not to damage them. They're not to harm themselves, the therapist, or the playroom. These are absolute limits, non-negotiable, because they protect the child, others, and property from harm and anchor the therapy to reality. When to limit? Immediately before something is going to occur that needs limiting. It's timing. Not look at the nonverbal cues and behavior patterns. Anticipate limit testing actions. State the limit. Remaining calm, matter of fact, conveying confidence in the child's willingness and ability to abide by the limit. The rule in the playroom is, it's against the playroom rules 2. When we're in the playroom, these are the things that are okay for us to do. These are the things that are not okay. Reflecting the feeling and meta-communication about the underlying messages. It seems like you're pretty angry at me right now. You really wanted to pour water in the sandbox. I can tell you're disappointed, but the sand has to stay in the sandbox. You want me to know that you can make these decisions for yourself and I can't control you. You're wondering what will happen if you do this anyway. I can tell you're curious as to what I will do if you hit the mirror. Generating alternative acceptable behavioral options. The mirror's not for hitting, the bobo's for hitting. I bet you can think of something else to hit with the hammer besides the mirror that won't cause us to be hurt. Very concrete words. Unacceptable behavior. The gun is not for pointing in this direction. Kicking the ball in the playroom is not acceptable. Abstract wording. I'll kick the ball softly, but that's not the rule. The rule says we don't kick the ball. I'm only going to pour a little bit of water in the sandbox. The rule says we don't put water in the sandbox. So if we cannot keep the limits and the agreements, then we're giving ourselves the option to have logical consequences to not be in the playroom yet the next time. Setting up logical consequences and imposing them if a child chooses to break the limit or not to abide by the agreement. It must express the reality of the social order and be directly related to the misbehavior. Realistic, reasonable, and respectful. Maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes to stay out of the playroom the next session would be reasonable. Stating in a calm, patient way to be respectful. And reality-based. We're not able to pour paint on the floor because we don't own the building. If we did own the building, we wouldn't pour paint on the floor because that's not something that we want to do. When a child has repeatedly demonstrated they will not abide by agreements and the behaviors are totally unacceptable, that there's some type of adverse effect if the child were allowed to hit another child or drink the paint from the art center. Whether or not the therapist can remain calm and not show a high level of anxiety. Limit setting can be used to convey positive, supportive feelings, communicating that the therapist wants the child to succeed, that they are going to be responsible, and that they will be loved and cared for regardless. They're just consequences that will come into play. Factors that affect the process of limiting. The first is the lifestyle of the therapist. Am I strong enough to do this? Do I feel anxiety? Do I feel it's stressful? Will I feel like the child still likes me? Do I feel capable to institute these things? Looking at the child's lifestyle factors, what the goals of misbehavior and the crucialties are, and being able to very specifically address those and set limits and reality-based consequences for choices that are made. Returning the responsibility to the child. We will reconvene with Chapter 8.